Hello, 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 world. This is your host, Louise Hicks of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. And I'd like to first of all thank all of my supporters. Thanks to my subscribers. For those new subscribers that have come on board, I appreciate you. Thank you for all the love. Please share this video because we're going to talk about Black fatigue, part two. And I shared with you part one, and now we are about to talk about part two, because I believe, from my perspective, that the video that I'm going to share with you is probably what has created all the trending of Black fatigue. And we need to discuss exactly why this came about, which I think it was about this little boy being called a nigger by this white Karen, who appears to be a very evil person from what we have seen in the video. So you're going to get a chance to see the video. But first, before we share the video with you, I want you to share the other white Karen who says she's sick and tired of Black people. Pretty much, she'd like to see us vanish from the planet from how she sounds in her video. And in video one, please make sure you watch part one because it gives the background for what Karen had to say about Black people and how she really feels and how she has tried to flip the script and hijack the real meaning, the truth about Black fatigue. So with that said, let's go and listen because Anton Daniels appears to be supporting this, what my grandmother would call food talk that this woman is talking. So let's go ahead and share it. And again, I'm Louise Hicks. Please share, subscribe, support the channel because it's all about raising our level of consciousness. So here we go. Let's share. And I started the video from the beginning this time because this is part two, as I mentioned, from my part one about Black fatigue. So let's go ahead and listen to what Karen has to say. I don't know what her real name is, but she appears to be a Karen from what she's talking. And she's saying that she's tired of Black people blaming white people for everything, which is a lie. And she is trying to flip the script of what the meaning is and who coined this phrase, Black fatigue, which was the author of multiple books, but she's the author of the Black fatigue book, Mary Frances Winters, who is the author, and it was in response to Robin DiAngelo's book, White Fragility, which appears to be what this woman is suffering from. Perhaps she should go get some therapy. So here we go. And Anton, perhaps you need to reevaluate your support of this woman because it's ridiculous what you're saying as well, from my perspective.
Hendricks, the woman who called a 5 after watching the video, a little bit of white trash. I have to be honest, the kid was
started from the beginning.
Talk about Shiloh Hendricks, the woman who called a 5-year-old a racial slur. My first impression after watching the video, a little bit of white trash. I have to be honest, the kid was 5. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Absolutely everything they do is out of pocket. They're like little unhinged drunk people. Nothing they do makes sense. A 5-year-old is capable of rifling through somebody's bag and taking things that don't belong to them. Ask any kindergarten teacher. But I realize why so many people are wanting to defend this, because Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman. But what she did is not praiseworthy. But also, on the same hand, please remember that every day that us white people get on this app, we get called racial slurs every single day. So if you don't want to be called a racial slur, you also have to stop calling people racial slurs. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. But for the love of God, please leave the children out of it. Adults are stupid. They're going to do stupid things. But you're a different level of stupid when you bring kids into it. Thanks for coming to my TED.
So,
Okay, before you speak, Anton, because you spoke in the other video as well, and I'm allowing this is part two. She's saying, I believe if I heard her right, she's calling the other woman out of her name. I think she said call her trash or whatever. And she's saying adults are stupid, but adults like her are stupid. That's what I would say, because all adults are not stupid, but adults like her are stupid when you go and hijack, which is theft, somebody else's phrase and try and flip the script to make yourself sound like you are benefiting someone. And I guess you're benefiting the people that follow you because perhaps they're just like you. And that is sad if they are, because all that does is create more and more hate, because America is already a hot mess. And when people get out here like you and they spew this anger, which Robin DiAngelo, who wrote the book White Fragility, which is what it appears you have, that white fragility syndrome. You're angry and you are upset, obviously, because Black people are speaking out about what's going on in this country and you don't like it. And that's okay if you don't like it, because it's not going to stop anything. We're going to keep speaking out and saying what we wish to say. And if you don't like it, too bad. And you have a right to say what you want to say, but we're going to make sure that we speak up and speak out about the food talk that you're talking. And we know that you, Anton, you're supporting her because you're sitting here talking about what we've talked about in part one. But I'm going to let them finish out your video here. And I have another video that I'm going to share. I may not even finish out your video because I don't think it's worth me finishing out, but I'm going to let you respond to what she had to say in this one, even though it's in part one as well. So go ahead.
basically, what this woman is saying is that two things could be true at the same time. And I said this the other day when this whole situation first broke out, and then we had the panel on Monday night, where I basically said that white people are starting to get fed up, and that is the whole premise behind black fatigue. Is that nobody wants you to continue to play victim for the rest of your life. They tired of being held accountable for things that their ancestors did. They tired of you blaming all of your failures and the things that you weren't able to accomplish on white people. They're tired of you sitting there saying that you're a victim every single day, regardless of what your circumstance is, regardless of what you've been given, regardless of all of the affirmative action, regardless of the fact that you're saying that you're the most educated, but really you're the most enrolled. They tired of you blaming your debt on the system. They tired of you saying that white men are the problem. They tired of you asking for programs, and they're tired of being held accountable for the decisions that you're making every single day.
She'll be watching her back for the rest of her life. Yeah, because that's not thuggery, hidrattery, animalistic. This is why people have black fatigue. When you act like this, it's not normal behavior. People do stupid stuff. People say stupid.
Okay. Anton, just FYI, I already said it in the other part one of this video, and I'm not going to play the full video because I have another video I want to play in response to what she just said about the woman that I'm going to share this next video with you. And I may come back to this one, may not, because I don't think it's worth me coming back to. But for Anton's information, uh, we're tired of white people being SOS, white people like her, stuck on stupid, because that's what it was. That's exactly what she's talking about. She's stuck on stupid. And we're tired. I know I am, for one, as a 74 years of age Black woman who's gone through a lot of experiences with racial discrimination in various capacities, the workforce, housing, you name it. I have lived a lot longer than you. I'm sure I have a lot more wisdom on what has gone on based on your interpretation of this specific video that this woman is peddling, because she's peddling nothing worth listening to, really. But we do have to address these issues when we hear it, because we really don't want, excuse me, children to hear this food talk and buy into it, little vulnerable children. And when you hear what this other white Karen said about this little autistic 5-year-old boy, I believe if you are a sound mind person, I always share that scripture, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. I believe that if you are a righteous minded person, that you would think the same way. But when she talks about black fatigue, she's hijacked, or in other words, she's stolen the phrase, and she's trying to flip the script to meet her narrative of what black fatigue is. But that's not what black fatigue is. Black fatigue was coined by the author of multiple books by the name of Mary Frances Winters. And what black fatigue is all about, black fatigue refers to the mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion experienced by black people as a result of the constant exposure to systemic racism and racist acts, in which this is a racist act that she is performing here. The ongoing need to prove one's worth and the daily stress of living in a society where racism is prevalent. It encompasses the cumulative effect of microaggressions, negative stereotypes, and the overall burden of navigating a world where one's racial identity is often a source of adversity. And that is the definition. Now, the author of the book, White Fragility, which is what this woman appears to be suffering from, which would tell me that she needs to go and get some therapy. White Fragility was a book written by a white woman by the name of Robin DiAngelo. And Mary Frances Winters wrote her book, Black Fatigue, and coined the phrase because of the book of White Fragility written by the white woman, Robin DiAngelo, in response to white fragility. That is why Mary Frances Winters wrote the book. And her definition is, the phrase Black fatigue was coined by Mary Frances Winters, an anti-racist and equity consultant. She developed the concept in response to Robin DiAngelo's book, White Fragility, to describe the extreme exhaustion and stress experienced by Black people due to ongoing racism and microaggressions. Winters defines Black fatigue as a feeling of physical, mental, and spiritual exhaustion that results from the cumulative effects of racism and is often passed down through generations. For your information, Karen, because you're trying to flip the script. And Anton, you are supporting this ridiculous nonsense, because here you go talking about ancestors. We're not talking about the ancestors. We're talking about racism that's happening now. And it's been from its inception, when Black people were coined 3/5 of a person in our Constitution. And that is nothing but causing divisiveness. And it has been down through the centuries. So I would think you would be astute enough, Anton, to be educated on this. Know our history. I understand you were born in Detroit. I don't know your origin, your background, whether your ancestors were slaves. I don't know. And only, I guess, whoever knows you, because I don't know that part about you. But you appear to be either a Gen Xer, most likely, I would think. And I know a lot of Gen Xers, millennials, Zs are peddling some information that's detrimental to the Black community because it's not beneficial for the Black community. And as I mentioned in part one of this video, you remind me of Candace Owens, Jesse Lee Peterson, and some of the others out here who are putting your people down to elevate yourself and to probably make more money off of YouTube, get more subscribers and so forth. And I don't have an issue with people making money because that's part of a legacy and generational wealth. However, I do have an issue with Black people going on social media, degrading one another. That's not beneficial to our community, and as if Black people are the only ones with bad behavior. And I just shared with you some of the most atrocious behaviors of white people. And I've experienced some of the most atrocious behaviors, even during my college days, where I went to a party and I had to leave because of the values of what these young people were doing. And I was invited to a party from one of my classmates. And it was only a couple of Blacks there, two of us actually, the person that went with me. And these people were doing all kinds of atrocious things, drugs, orgies. I mean, we left because those were not our values. So stop putting everybody down in the Black community like this minister did. I forgot his name right now, but I did a video on him too. I did one on Candace Owens after she was fired. Now I hear she's trying to rebrand herself. And of course, Jesse Lee Peterson is definitely SOS, stuck on stupid. He's in the Willie Lynch syndrome. That's what I would put him in, that category. So with that said, let's listen to a little bit more of what you're saying, and then I'm going to share another video. But this is part two of
Good stuff. That's
Black
life. It's
fatigue.
not normal to threaten to unalive people because you don't like what they're doing. But here we are. People are getting sick and tired of opening up TikTok and seeing brawls on cruise ships, brawls in the airport, like literally the most ghetto behavior. We're tired. We're tired of it. But then whining and complaining and acting like it's not your fault that you act that way. Yeah.
And so that comment proved her right. And for whatever reason, y'all think that the white people don't.
That comment did not prove her right. Did you watch Professor Black Truth? Professor Black Truth brought it on where he shared white fatigue. We're sick and tired of the white fatigue. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm not, this white fragility, according to Robin DiAngelo's, who wrote the book, White Fragility. And I don't think anyone, as Professor Black Truth has said, and I don't remember any book about white fatigue, but watch part one and you will see all the brawls and things and stuff that white people are doing. This stuff is not unique to Black people, and white people have had white privilege. So why are they acting like fools? You tell me why, Anton, since you're out here supporting this woman. Go watch the video that I shared in my part one with Professor Black Truth. And let's see if you will tell her that she's right about Black people, as if we're the only ones that have some inappropriate behaviors. And I tell you what, this white woman, why should she have any inappropriate behavior except for what she's doing right now? That's totally inappropriate because she's spreading hate. That's all she's doing. That's hate, and you're condoning it. So watch the video where Professor Black Truth shares what white people are doing. And it's exactly what she's talking about what she's sick and tired of Black people doing. So it's utterly ridiculous. So let me go and share the video that shows what she was talking about from the beginning and saying adults are stupid. Adults like her, they are stupid, the ones like her. So let me stop this one, and I probably won't come back to it for time's sake. If anyone wants to watch it, you can go on Anton Daniels' channel and you can check out the rest of it, which I have no desire to watch the rest of this woman talk, a bunch of food talk, really, because that's all she's talking. So let me share the other video that I want you to see here. and it would show the other Karen and how ridiculous she is when she calls this little black boy, a 5-year-old, a nigger, which she is the one that's acting like a nigger, which was coined by white people to be ignorant black people, when if that be the case, it sure is, uh, it has to do with how some of them are reacting. And it's not all of them, but people like her and this woman is ridiculous. So let's go and share this one here and show you why the opening video.
Did
And
you call him a child? Did you call the child the word? Did you call him a child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him a. Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's you dumb.
Nobody digging through your
A little kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a.
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know that's a hate speech, and you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
The kid she's going after has autism. He doesn't behave in a neurotypical way. And even if he didn't have autism, nothing he could have done would justify her calling him slurs and pursuing him physically, which is what she says she was doing before this guy intervened. He said after he stopped recording, she sat down, hurled more slurs, told him and his wife that they should leave the country, and then got on the phone and acted like she was calling someone to come down there and handle things. Fortunately, no one came, and eventually she packed up her child and left. But this woman is a danger to children. She doesn't need to be on a playground or around other kids, and she has at least one child of her own, which is also concerning.
Shiloh Hendricks, the woman who we have all seen, we all know who she is by now, has raised over $773,000 off of Give, Send, Go for calling a black child the N-word. One person
you hear that?
is trying to bring...
And let me
Did
back
you
up
call
a
him
little bit.
a child?
Listen at her and look what she does.
Did
She
you call
throws
the
the
child
finger.
the word? Did you call him a child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him a. Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's you dumb.
Nobody digging through your.
A little kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a.
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know that's a hate speech, and you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
The kid she's going after has autism. He doesn't behave in a neurotypical way. And even if he didn't have autism, nothing he could have done would justify her calling him slurs and pursuing him physically, which is what she says she was doing before this guy intervened. He said after he stopped recording, she sat down, hurled more slurs, told him and his wife that they should leave the country, and then got on the phone and acted like she was calling someone to come down there and handle things. Fortunately, no one came, and eventually she packed up her child and left. But this woman is a danger to children. She doesn't need to be on a playground or around other kids, and she has at least one child of her own, which is also concerning.
Shiloh Hendricks, the woman who we have all seen, we all know who she is by now, has raised over $773,000 off of Give, Send, Go for calling a black child the N-word. One person is trying to bring all of those funds to a halt.
I've been thinking, I've been strategizing, I've been doing a little sleuthing, right? So what I thought about as a business owner, what do I want to hit? Do I want to hit her or do I want to hit the money? So I thought about that. So I started searching and trying to figure out how can I find this funding source. I'm a business owner, I own a retail store, so I know there is a funding source. There's a pipeline somewhere, right? Give, Send, Go is the platform she uses, but they are not the bank. So I thought, like, we got to find a bank. And most banks are not going to want to be attached to something like that, right? Like most banks, especially payment processors, they will cut that off with any type of doubt or controversy. They'll usually just cut it off, right? So what I did, I used to be a web developer, so I know how to code and I know how to read code. So I went and I broke down the code on Give, Send, Go's checkout page line for line. And there were keywords I wanted to look for, right? So I looked for the keywords and I started looking through the keywords and I found the keyword Block Inc., right? That's familiar, right? Block Inc. is the parent company of Square. So I went and I did my researching, and it turns out, yeah, that's their payment processor.
That is Keandria Damone, an activist and entrepreneur who is based in Atlanta, Georgia. Like a lot of us, she was disgusted with what she saw, and she wants to take action.
So I'm going to attach, and I'm going to share ways we can contact both Block Inc. and Square. So we want to hit both of them so they can't ignore us, right? But there is a process to report stuff like that, and I don't know if they just didn't think we'd find it out, but yeah, we found it out. So I'm going to share how y'all can report. Stop reporting to Give, Send, Go. They don't give a They supported Kyle Rittenhouse, the January 6th rioters. That is literally what they do. That platform thrives off hate. So we don't want to hit them. We want to hit the money. And see, Give, Send, Go is a for-profit company, and they pretty much can do what they want to do. But when it comes to banking and payment processing in this country, we do actually have laws and regulations surrounding that. So any type of bank or payment processor has to have a clear-cut policy that prevents them from funding hateful things like that. So yes, Block and Square both have policies that prohibit the use of their platform for glorifying or amplifying or profiting off of harassment, illegal activities, racism, and yes, hate speech. So she has violated their policy by even having that campaign.
She would tell the Griot, quote, "I was initially looking for things that were red flags as far as their compliance as a company. I started thinking, like, this isn't going to be enough because they're just going to fix it and they're going to keep operating." Meanwhile, the founder of Give, Send, Go, where Shiloh Hendricks launched her donation page.
No, so let's just clarify some of the facts. So one,
but you hear her
voice. Well, I'm just going to clarify some of the facts. We don't know the age of this child, so that's in contestant rate number one. The boy was rummaging through her belongings, which caused the backlash. So it wasn't like she unprovoked just stepped into a situation and called a young boy a term. It was because this boy, who some people say is as old as 10 years old, was actually stealing from her. And she said, no, that doesn't excuse, I don't condone calling people racial epithets and bad names at all. But there is a place for, I mean, there was GoFundMe allowed a campaign for the boy and his family, and it raised $350,000. So is that condoning thievery or stealing? I don't see the outrage against GoFundMe.
Well, his name is Jacob Wells, and he deserves all the criticism in the world.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about this real quick because I've seen this floating around too. And first of all, a lot of y'all are just way too easily influenced, bro. Like, just because this man got up there and said he wanted or he was going to do something, first of all, it's the CEO, not the CFO. That's two different things. But the CEO is not an end-all, be-all for a company. That's one. This man has decision-making power in a lot of aspects, but he's not the end-all, be-all for that company. He is not God in the company. This man has an entire board of people who he has to answer to. So when it's a problem of this size affecting a company, that's not something the CEO can single-handedly even make a decision about. But outside of that, why, like, y'all can stop sending me videos. Y'all can stop sending me links. Y'all can stop even commenting this. I've seen his beanhead get up there and say he supported her, but we knew that. We knew they were going to support her. We knew Give, Send, Go was backing her fully and refused to take down that campaign. In fact, Give, Send, Go supporting her was the entire reason I found another solution. So y'all are not saying anything that is new at this point. We shouldn't be shocked by that. But this man can get up there and he can say he want to give her 10 million. All I give a damn. The fact remains that this man single-handedly is not the bank. Now, unless he gonna give her a meal out his pocket, I can't stop him from doing that. But as far as collecting funds in a fundraiser online, a payment processor, a third party is responsible for that. That decision does not lie with him. It lies with a third-party payment processor. And that third-party payment processor has a very clear-cut policy.
He's also, not much of a surprise here, a total hypocrite. So, the Griot has more. The 33-year-old, as in Keandria, is a social media disruptor, and she has launched an effort to prevent Shiloh Hendricks from receiving any of the Give, Send, Go money, which has netted, they say 600,000, it's over 773. By directing her nearly 50,000 followers and all who want to help to put pressure on the fundraising platform and payment processor by making complaints, she hopes to hold them accountable for profiting off of hate. And that is a message that I can get behind. A quick clarification, as Damone outlined in a message later on, it is Stripe, not Square. Stripe's policies prohibit the use of their services for activities that promote hate or violence, which could be applicable in this case. Here's the thing, though. Keandria has received a lot of messages.
Miss Darlene, sister girl, are you new to the internet? What in the are you talking about?
And has now been making the rounds when it comes to various media platforms.
She hurled this racial slur at a child and she was filmed, but instead of taking any accountability, she not only played the victim and doubled down, she posted a crowdfunding link and she started collecting donations for this. As far as I know now, it's at $750,000. We are trying to freeze specifically Shiloh's payment that was processed through Block Inc. Square. I'm kind of a troll and I'm really great at it. To be fair, I will only drag racist people and abusers. Any sort of scandal, any sort of devastation, especially in this country, there's always a rich white man at the top with his hand in the pot. Looking at like bigger picture, because I want this to be something that is impacting us long term. I want this to be a way of thinking as we're moving forward, regardless of the outcome. It wasn't even just about the money, because it is wrong that they're profiting off of harm. So many people are just sick of these companies profiting off of harm. But it was also about accountability. Somebody has to be held accountable.
She would tell the Black press, quote, "This is not a situation where I just want to cyberbully Shiloh Hendricks and have people talking about her bad dye job. I want to actually get in this situation and make a difference." They'd write, Keandria is calling on the public to keep the pressure on by filing complaints directly, and if they've been affected by similar services, with the CFPB or FTC. Quote, "We need that paper trail," she would emphasize. So, in closing, follow her, support her work, and if you can, join in without using hateful language and targeting Shiloh's kids. It should be Give, Send, Go. It should be the payment processor. And we need to have a direct tunnel vision on how to operate on this, because what we're going after is not only her conduct, of course, which is gross and bigoted, but it's that she shouldn't profit off of hate like that. So let's keep our eye on the ball here. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member.
I agree with what is going on here. Let me go ahead and stop the video, because nobody should be thriving off of hate. It's too much of that. America is already a hot mess. So why would we continue to make it worse by spewing hate? And what this woman did in that playground was atrocious. It was horrendous. And someone made the statement it was a 10-year-old, regardless of whether it was a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old, whether the child was autistic or not. It was still a child. So why would this Karen parade herself around there when she was called out and told the person go back to whatever country they came from or something? And didn't she know that she came from some country as well? I'm sure her origins are from somewhere, probably Europe somewhere or some other foreign country, her origin, her ancestors. So who is she to tell somebody to go back where they came from? Not that I'm supporting illegal people coming illegally, because if they want to come, they should come the right way. It's about righteousness and doing the right thing to bring about some harmony, because it's a lot of hate, a lot of divisiveness in this country. And to support people like the Karen that I shared with you initially, that talked about this, trying to, actually, she was trying to flip the script and steal Mary Frances Winter's Black Fatigue that she coined. And she's going to try and flip the script, but we're not having that. There are some people out here that are going for that kind of mentality, but there are so many of us that are not buying into it, because all she's saying is she is fearful of Black people speaking up and speaking out, telling the truth, telling the truth about our history, even though some people are trying to hide it. But however, I've always taught my children to treat people the way they want to be treated. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, the host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Please subscribe, share, leave your comments, and give it a thumbs up, a like. And by all means, I want to really thank my supporters who continue to watch the podcast and make comments, because we need more love in this country, because the country is a hot mess. It's divided. It's been divided ever since its inception. It's a lot of sickness in this country, and I mean mental sickness. That's what I'm talking about, where people need therapy. And this woman, both of these women, they need some type of therapy, both of these Karens, because they are of the same mindset, filled with hate, regardless of whether the child was 10 or 5. That was a teachable moment, not a moment to call the child a nigger. Because if she thinks that way about the child, of course she thinks that way about all Black people. That's how she probably was raised. She probably came from a household, because children are not born with hate in their heart. And you cannot regulate a person's heart. If they're hateful, no matter what. And we have to call these people out and hold them accountable. And this woman who's trying to stop the funding, I don't know what the outcome has been. But when it comes to all of this hate and evilness, it's a sad situation. And it's not just America, it's across the world. Unfortunately, the whole world is sick, filled with hate. But here in America, Black people, we have to unify and help to raise one another to a higher level of consciousness. Help us to use our resources wisely. Use it wisely, because as I mentioned before in part 1 of this video, Citigroup did a survey where America has lost $16 trillion due to racism. And they said it was since 2000. If that be the case, it has to be in the, multiple trillions total. If it's 16 since 2000, I don't know whether that's accurate, but I did look up. There is a study that was done by Citigroup, and it says it has cost the U.S. $16 trillion, racism. And these Karens are out here perpetuating it. And then you have Antondaniels supporting it, a Black man, and talking about the ancestors. This stuff is happening now, as you can see. And I'm so happy that Professor Black Truth. I didn't see Tariq Nasheed's take on it, on the black fatigue, but I did provide and share Dr. Professor rather Black Truth's video in part 1, where he shows that this Karen, the first one, is or has white fragility syndrome. That was a book written by the white woman, Robin DiAngelo. And I'm going to share the video where she does an interview as well, so you can see more what she's talking about. And also Mary Frances Winters, who coined the phrase that was hijacked by the Karen, black fatigue, which I read you what black fatigue is. It's the exhaustion of Black people from all the racism in this country. And Black people have done well for themselves, coming out of slavery, building, thriving in their own cities, in their own space. And white people, hateful white people, destroyed. Many of those communities are underwater because they made lakes, killed white people. It's not just Oklahoma, 1920, 21. Wall Street, Black Wall Street. It's not just that. Go on the internet, go on YouTube. It's multiple Black communities that were destroyed, where Black people were thriving, minding their own business, as we're doing today. And these people seem to be obsessed. What are you so obsessed about? Why are you so fearful? Some Black people just want to be left alone and do their own thing, thrive. They're building for their legacy, building generational wealth for their children. And as you saw from Professor Black's Truth video, these bad behaviors this woman talks about, that's not unique to Black people. Not at all. So it's ridiculous when you hear stuck on stupid white people. And I'm saying some of them, like these two that you just witnessed in the video. And with that said, I repeat, 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power. And that's what we're aiming to get, power, by unifying, sharing our resources, love, and a sound mind. And I always share, speak up. Speak up. Do not be fearful to speak up. Do your due diligence. Do your homework. Educate your children on our history so you can see the root cause of a lot of this chaos from the inception of this country. However, I don't call myself a victim, as Anton seems to be spewing about, Antondaniels, about Black people being victims. Victimized, true, but being victims? How could Black people be victims and sit around and talking about woe is me when they built communities, thriving communities with doctors, lawyers, still building today, thriving, and teaching our children our history, how to become entrepreneurs, how to invest their money for legacy and generational wealth. Most of us are not sitting around twiddling our thumb, waiting on crumbs from the government, from the Democratic Party, who goes out every 4 years to the Black churches, making promises that they can't keep, because the Republicans are straightforward. Look at what Donald Trump is doing. And I'm going to do a video about Afrikaners, how he had stopped these programs, and all of a sudden, all these white folks he's bringing from South Africa, and I'm sure the South Africans probably won't let them back when they want to come back. But at any rate, always remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Subscribe, share, because there's more content that will inform you and help you to be more conscientious in respecting and treating people the way you want to be treated. Nobody wants to be treated badly. stomped on, tromped on. It's ridiculous. And that's what this woman is trying to do. Flip the script. Remember what black fatigue is, and it was coined by this author of multiple books, Mary Frances Winters. And again, in fact, you can go and hear her on this podcast called Town Square with Ernie Manous. Again, it's called Town Square with Ernie Manous, Manouse, first name Ernie, Ernie. Mary Frances Winters was on his podcast, and I listened to it, and she talked about the book Black Fatigue, and it was a very compelling interview with her because she talked about her book again, Black Fatigue: How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit, and she gives the definition of what her definition is Black fatigue. And it really refers to the mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion experienced by Black people as a result of constant exposure to systemic racism and racist acts, the ongoing need to prove one's worth, and the daily stress of living in a society where racism is prevalent. It encompasses the cumulative effect of microaggressions, negative stereotypes, and the overall burden of navigating a world where one's racial identity is often a source of adversity. And I can attest and witness to that truth as a 74 years of age Black woman who has gone through all of it. Workforce discrimination, housing discrimination, educational discrimination, all of it. And I have a college degree. I have practiced law on myself because I did not go to law school as I had intended to do. But I've studied law. And I won a case against LA County that wasn't easy, but I knew how to do the research because law is common sense. You just got to do research. Do your due diligence because that will help you in the long run. If you go to work for a company, do your due diligence, do your homework, study that company, know who you're going to work for. Do your documentation when you're getting bad treatment, because most likely you will. I can attest to it. I have gotten it, but I knew what to do, and I've never been fired from a job. Never. And I call people out on the job. I don't care who they are. I call them out because I have documentation and proof to back up what I'm saying. And I've never been fired. So that's something we got to take control of our own lives, hold ourselves accountable, teach our children our history. That's so vital. And again, Black fatigue is defined by Miss Winters, the person that coined the phrase, as a feeling of physical, mental, and spiritual exhaustion that results from the cumulative effects of racism and is often passed down through generation. That is her definition, Mary Frances Winters, the author of Black Fatigue. So when you hear that phrase, now you know where it came from, you know its origin, and you know what it represents. And believe me, it's a true representation of what Black people go through, still going through, Anton, in America and other countries as well, not just America. So with that said, I'm going to close the video. I thank all of, again, my subscribers. Please subscribe, share this video because it can help somebody else to overcome some of the racism that we experience on a daily basis in this country in various aspects of our daily living, educationally, workforce, housing, you name it. So I will see you in the next video. Much love, and always remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose because your destiny is your command. And I'll see you in the next video.